Right now this is happening. A body burns, the back is a knot, the leg a taut rope. The mind runs like a horse with its reins cut, and yet, in the very same minute, another person with the same pain breathes deeply and discovers that the wound loses its edge. Not because the flesh performs a miracle, but because something inside has shifted. I say it in the present. The pain strikes, the mind stirs, a door appears. Whoever crosses it finds the blow does not double. The heart settles, the shoulders yield, the breath returns home. That is the whole story. Pain arrives, resistance multiplies it. Clarity severs the second arrow, and the body, even with its weight, stops being a prison. That is what happens now. What happens every time someone remembers to look inward with courage. I said there is a door. It is not made of wood or bronze. It is a gesture, a way of placing attention, like holding a lamp under the rain. Before crossing it, everything seems compact. It hurts me. It always hurts. It will hurt more. Afterwards, the pain unravels into filaments like smoke backlit. You can see it come and go, heat and cool, ripple like a wave. Before the door, pain is a dictator. After, it is a messenger. And when one listens to the message, the tyranny loses its meaning. Let me tell you how I know this. Not from a podium, but from the exposed place of those who have learned to look with awareness. At the heart of this teaching, there is an ancient image. 2 arrows. The first, inevitable, wounds the tissue. The second, optional, pierces the mind. The first arrow is the fact, the inflammation, the fracture, the spasm. The second arrow is the story we invent. Why me? This will never end. I am my pain. The first asks for care, the second asks for clarity. If you remove the second, the first hurts less. No one needs blind faith to see it. Just try it in the laboratory of the moment. The journey begins. You don't have to believe, you have to look. Pain approaches like a low storm over the sea. The instinct is to flee, clench the jaw, fight the wind. But there is a finer strategy. Lower the sails, loosen the body as one lets down their guard in front of a friend. Breathe, a long breath like a rope that ties us to shore. On that rope, the body finds an ancient rhythm, air in, air out. Life keeps negotiating its balance. With each exhalation, the mind releases a knot. With each inhalation, the present becomes larger than the wound. Imagine this precisely. The stabbing sensation in the back presents itself as a solid mass. The moment you close your eyes and bring attention there, without drama and without rejection, you notice it is not rock but rain, microstrikes that rise and fall. A vibration. There are hotter zones, colder edges, pulses that appear, fade, return. The map changes second by second. Suddenly a crack. Between one wave and another there is an interstice. The freedom hides. It's not that the wave disappears, it's that it no longer drags you. In the language of the wise, this is called mindfulness. But those words are big. Don't be frightened by them. Mindfulness is feeling what you already feel, with the gentleness of a hand on water. It is the science of observing without adding. Pain, when observed, reduces to its true size. Like a shadow that, when the light is switched on, does not occupy the whole room, but only a corner. There is a clear enemy in this story, and it is not pain. The enemy is ignorance. Ignorance not as an insult, but as fog. The fog that confuses sensation with destiny, stimulus with identity. The fog that murmurs, if it hurts, you are it. If it hurts, it will be forever. If it hurts, you are lost. That fog invents the second arrow and fires it again and again. The antidote is not hatred nor punishment, it is seeing. Seeing how you think, seeing how the body reacts, seeing the pattern before getting trapped in it. Seeing disarms. The ancients spoke of impermanence, and the word sounds distant, but it is very simple. Nothing lasts, neither pleasure nor pain. Impermanence is the great reporter of reality. It brings fresh news every second. If you can stay long enough with a sensation, you will verify that, like a visitor, it arrives, takes tea, and leaves. When you forget this, you build a house for the visitor and become enslaved to its presence. When you remember, you leave the door ajar. The visitor enters and, polite, also departs. I look around and find resonances. In different traditions, a similar intuition repeats. The Sufis speak of the heart as a mirror that, when cleaned, reflects things as they are. Desert Christians kept silent until pain became prayer. The Taoists taught yielding like bamboo, which survives the storm without breaking. And in peoples who honor their ancestors, pain is offered to the fire to be purified, not to deny its existence. These are not competing doctrines. They are paths that greet each other at a mountain crossing. At the center of that crossroads, there is an empty chair. It is the present. And what do I do with fear? The heart might ask if it could. Fear is the echo of the second arrow. It is born when the mind runs toward the future and draws monsters with the ink of the past. The remedy is not thinking positively, but returning to a smaller, truer place. This heartbeat, this breath, this pressure that rises and falls. Fear feeds on distance. If you reduce the distance between your attention and the sensation, fear goes hungry. There is a delicate moment in the process. When you enter the sensation, you can confuse observing with enduring. It is not about clenching your teeth, but softening them. It is not heroism, but tenderness. You observe the sensation as you would observe a crying child. You don't stuff its mouth, but you don't agitate it either. You sit beside it and accompany it until it calms. This being with is the deepest medicine. Tenderness does not deny reality. It embraces it with intelligence. And the body, in the meantime, it needs allies too. Rest when it asks for rest. Move when it asks for movement. Seek care when the first arrow demands it. There is no virtue in neglecting yourself. The wisdom that looks inward also recognizes medicine, physiotherapy, stretching, heat, ice. But it does so without anxiety, without turning rehabilitation into another form of mental slavery. You tend the body like a garden, with patience, water, and light, knowing no gardener pulls the leaves to make them grow faster. I put a simple practice on the table. Call it the breath balance. Sit or lie down. Bring attention to where it hurts. Not to scold yourself, but to recognize the territory. On the inhale, imagine you open space around the sensation as if loosening a belt. On the exhale, let the weight fall toward the earth with permission. Repeat. You may discover the sensation expands and paradoxically hurts less when it has room to be. Sometimes pain is like a trapped bird. The tighter you squeeze it, the more it thrashes. If you open the window, it finds a way out. Another image, a singing bowl. If you strike the rim, it vibrates. Pain is the vibration. Your attention is the hand that touches the bowl and syncs with its ringing. You cannot make the vibration not exist, but you can accompany it until it fades into silence. Silence is not denial. It is the natural form of rest for all things. Think of the secret biography of anybody. We are born soft. We learn to tense, to survive. Each fear leaves memory in the muscles. One day the body speaks loudly. It hurts. It is not betrayal. It is a call. It asks you to come and find yourself. When you arrive, the body recognizes the one in charge with affection, not with a whip. You say, "I hear you." And the body, like a tired animal, lies down at your feet and breathes too. It must be said clearly, serenity is not a pose. It is not a spiritual makeup to hide the tears. There will be days when it hurts a lot. On those days, the practice becomes simpler and humbler. Just breathe, just hold, just don't add cruel stories. Sometimes victory is small, imperceptible to others, sleeping an extra hour, walking 3 steps, smiling at someone even though the body protests. Those victories gathered change the inner world. A story as a beacon, A man who had cursed his pain for years learned to ask himself these three silent questions when the wave came. Where exactly is it? What is its texture now? What changes between this inhalation and the next? Three questions that don't demand speech, only perception. Over time, it wasn't that he stopped feeling, he stopped fearing himself. And fear was half the burden. When pain appears, another common trap activates: comparing. That person endures better. Mine is really a real ailment. No one understands what I feel. Comparing is a loneliness factory. Compassion deactivates it. Compassion is not pity. It is knowing the wound that throbs in me, vibrates in millions of bodies. From that secret fellowship a warmth arises that does not heal the lesion but melts the ice. Caring for another brings medicine home. There is a strange law that repeats: when you lighten someone else's load, yours becomes lighter. The mind loves names and labels, and sometimes they help, other times they chain. Pain becomes identity, and you end up saying, "I am chronic pain." The inner teaching undoes that contract. You are not your pain. You are the awareness that watches it. You are the sky, not the cloud. If that sounds abstract, return to the body. Feel how the sensation occupies a region, but there are other regions free. Feel how even in the sharpest moment, some neutral zone persists. A warm cheek, a calm finger, the tongue resting. That neutrality is the reminder there is more than pain in you. Resting there is like poking your face into the sun in winter. I sometimes hear despair speak. It will always be like this, but impermanence answers patiently. Nothing is always like this. Even when the body's condition is stable, experience changes. There are lighter mornings, calmer nights, moments of sweet distraction. If you train the gaze, those moments are not accidents but signals. Following them, the forest opens into a clearing. And guilt, it appears in strange forms. Guilt for hurting, guilt for not being able, guilt for needing. Guilt is a thread that goes nowhere except to tighten further. Cut it with a simple gesture. Give thanks for what you do manage. Thank the hands that have helped you. Thank the breath that does not abandon you. Thank your heart for its silent work. Gratitude is an unsuspected medicine. When you list what remains, the wounded part stops occupying everything. I don't want to offer a path without shadows. On this route, there are also stumbles. Days when your mood falls, days you forget to observe, days the second arrow seems the only option. Then remember, training is not a straight line, it's a spiral. You pass the same point again, but at a different height. What knocked you down yesterday only tilts you today. What tilts you today, tomorrow barely touches you. The secret is not falling, it's knowing how to rise gently. If it helps, think in symbols. A veil that is drawn aside and lets the light in. A tapestry where each thread has its function. Pain is a dark thread that makes the light thread stand out. A spiral that descends toward the center, not to get lost, but to find the point where everything stills. Hands together on the chest, not as a ritual gesture, but as a way of gathering what is scattered. And now one more technique, so simple it surprises. Call the sensation by its name without saying mine. There is heat, there is pressure, there is a stab. This impersonal language is not coldness, it is precision. It distances identity and allows attention to perform its work like a gentle surgeon. If at any moment the sensation is too much, open your eyes, look at a nearby object, name it silently. Glass, wood, light. Returning to the concrete rescues you from the whirlpool. Then, if you can, return to the body and repeat the dance of approaching and withdrawing, like opening and closing a window to air a room. Do not forget deep rest. Sleep is the nocturnal alchemist. If pain prevents sleep, become your own ally. Arrange pillows like a grotto, darken the cave, cool the air, turn off screens. Sometimes wisdom is the subtle architecture of the environment. No one sees that work except you, but you are the one who inhabits it. On the horizon of this practice, there is another revelation. When you hold attention long enough, the question of identity appears. Who is the one who observes? The field expands, and you discover that sensations, thoughts, emotions pass through a spacious presence that does not entirely contract. That presence is humble, silent. It needs no name. When you touch it, even pain bows. At that point, suffering loses fuel because it needs a narrow eye to burn. Where there is spaciousness, the fire dissolves. Joy is part of the path, too. It seems strange to speak of joy when there is pain. But joy here is not euphoria. It is a living calm, a discreet contentment that arises for no reason. It does not come from triumph, it comes from rest. When you stop fighting what is, a part of your energy returns and lights a small lamp. That light does not shout, it accompanies. With it, it becomes easier to cross the night. I propose a small daily ritual. Upon waking, before looking at the world, place your hand on the most neutral place of the body. Sigh long 3 times, as if you were unloading weight to the earth. Then name 3 things you are grateful for. At night, when fatigue tightens, repeat. This gesture carves a new groove in the mind. Water will run down that groove when storms come. We are not alone. Even if no one else is in your room, millions learn with you to reduce the second arrow. In hospitals, in quiet homes, on crowded buses, in temples invisible at the city's edge. If you close your eyes, you can feel that network, fine as a dew-soaked spiderweb at dawn. That connection is not a metaphor. The heart senses the tuning. Knowing others endure with grace adds strength to your own attempt. Return once more to the body. Adjust your posture as if settling into a throne of grass. Soften the tongue, let the shoulders drop. Release the furrow between the brows. Breathe. With the dignity of one who knows themselves alive. Bring attention to the place that hurts, not to expel it, but to invite it to sit with you. Observe the edge, the center, the temperature, the pulse. Count breaths if it helps. If the thought, "I can't take it," appears, look at it like a cloud. It forms, passes, dissolves. Stay with the breath a little longer than you think possible. There, in that extra centimeter, the silent miracle often happens. The pain changes shape, and you change with it. This path does not promise invulnerable bodies. It promises something more realistic and deeper, a mind that does not betray itself when the body screams. A heart that knows how to be spacious amid constriction. A wisdom that over time turns each twinge into a bell, each spasm into a prayer, each night into an opportunity to know one's patience. And in the end, a gentle truth. Pain is part of the dignity of being alive. Not enemy, not master, not identity. A visiting teacher. It comes, teaches in its rough language, and departs when it learns that we listen. Whoever does not listen remains trapped. Whoever hears it with lucidity sows the tear with a thread of gold that is not seen, but holds. If you ever find yourself overwhelmed, return to the smallest, the immediate. A fingertip that grazes fabric, the murmur of a leaf at the window, the rise and fall of the belly. In that minimalism there is grandeur. The whole universe fits into one breath. Breath is a house without walls. Each time you enter, you find yourself. And when the episode subsides, don't rush to forget. Give thanks. Acknowledge your courage. Repeat inwardly a short phrase, soft as a blanket. May I be at peace. May this body be at peace. May all bodies be at peace. It is not a spell to change the world. It is permission to inhabit it with less violence. Perhaps over time you will discover that pain, incomprehensible at first, left modest and precious gifts, a patience you did not have before, an empathy that opens doors, a respect for the mystery that sustains us all, and with those gifts the city changes texture. The traffic lights, the crosswalks, the market queue, nothing is so hostile when inside there is a clearing to sit in. What is happening today, a body that hurts, a mind that learns not to add suffering, is an ancient and ever-new story. A story that belongs to no single temple, but that all temples honor, face it, soften, let go. We are not called to be bronze heroes, but flesh beings who know how to rest in the center of the whirl. May the wound become a teacher. May the breath offer you its daily rope. May the second arrow fall to the ground before it touches you. And if you ever forget, may this memory find you. You are not alone. You are not your pain. You are not that story the mind repeats when it is afraid. You are more spacious. You are older. You are right now the tender witness who embraces what happens and lets it happen. If this teaching serves you, share it with someone who needs it. Perhaps even today someone, 2 streets from where you live or across 2 oceans, is looking for this rope. And if you wish to keep walking together, subscribe. We will make of this channel a silent room in the noisy city, a place where the body is heard, the mind learns to be kind, and the heart remembers home.